Welcome back to Home Field Trivia. Thanks for joining us for our Carolina Panthers quiz. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Leave us a comment below, and let's get started. The Carolina Panthers joined the NFL as an expansion team in 1995. That is true. The Panthers have won a Super Bowl. That is false. The team's first head coach was Don Capers. That is true. The Panthers' first ever regular season win came against the New York Jets. That is true. The team's first season was played entirely in Charlotte. That is false. Quarterback Jake Delhomme led the Panthers to Super Bowl 38. That is true. Steve Smith Sr. is the Panthers' all-time leader in receiving yards. That is true. The Panthers' first ever playoff appearance came in just their second season. That is true. The team's home stadium is currently called Bank of America Stadium. That is true. The Panthers were the first NFL team based in both North and South Carolina. That is true. The Panthers won their first NFC championship in 2003. That is true. Cam Newton won the NFL MVP award in 2015. That is true. The Panthers have hosted a Super Bowl in Charlotte. That is false. The franchise's all-time leading rusher is Christian McCaffrey. That is false. The Panthers' first draft pick in team history was Kerry Collins. That is true. The Panthers defeated the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 38. That is false. The Panthers have had more than 5 different head coaches in franchise history. That is true. The team's first playoff victory came in the 1996 season. That is true. The Panthers play in the NFC South Division. That is true. The Panthers have never had a player win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. That is false. Luke Kuechly retired before the age of 30. That is true. The Panthers' all-time leader in passing yards is Cam Newton. That is true. The Panthers' longest playoff drought lasted 5 consecutive seasons. That is false. The Panthers' 2015 team started the season 14-0. That is true. The team's first postseason appearance ended with a loss to the Green Bay Packers. That is true. The Panthers have played home games in 2 different stadiums. That is true. The Panthers' first Pro Bowl quarterback was Kerry Collins. That is true. The Panthers' 2015 Super Bowl loss was to the Denver Broncos. That is true. The Panthers once went an entire season without a single win. That is false. Owner Dave Tepper purchased the team from Jerry Richardson in 2018. That is true. Thanks for joining us for our Panthers quiz. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, leave us a comment, and join us again next time for our Falcons quiz.